Hi, and welcome back to the episode. This is the StackStorm Technical Deep Dive. I'm Rick Kaufman, Global TME over here at HP Aruba Networking. Now, today we're going to talk about some interesting things. I've been showing you a lot of StackStorm on the command line, but StackStorm has a web interface as well. I thought I'd show it to you and show you some of the things you can use it for. When we develop packs for StackStorm, we want to be able to kind of work in the command line. But when we want to see the output or the results of the executions that fail, it's so much better in the web interface. So I always use both when I'm developing StackStorm packs. Let's take a look at it in this episode. Let's get started.
We're here at StackStorm. We can say SD2 action list, and we can issue SD2 commands until the cows come home. We can say, how about running something like a, let's see here. So I can run this part of the core pack. Core pack's part of StackStorm. They have an HTTP action. It takes a URL, and I just give it the URL, and this action will go out and run. I'm manually running an action. It just went out and got all this information from Google because I gave it google.com. Right, so you can do stuff like that. So you can use that little core action to go out and scrape off URLs if you so want to, and save this into the context like we went through in the last chapter. So we can do that, right? But this action has a execution, is called. So when it ran, it went out, ran, and this is the execution ID, and this is the action reference, core HTTP, the user, and this was the URL. I passed it and the status of it, and then the result of it. But if it didn't work, and if it like crashed on us for some reason, we could go back and whatever that execution ID is, we can say exe2 execution get and put that ID in there, and it will go get that. So we can do this as a way of trying to figure out what went wrong, right? But that last action ran just great, and everything was just lovely. I had a status code 200 on it, so I can do this, and I will literally get everything that back in that. And when I ran that, see, I said the execution get here, and it said here was the ID, here's who ran it, the parameters, how long it took, it was successful, right? Here's the results of it, the body of it, and all that cool stuff, and the status code, right? So I get all that stuff back. So I can go back and look using this command, this execution get, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, execution list. See what that does, maybe? Yeah. So this, you can go and look at all of them. Like, so here's one that failed. So I can say SD2 execution get and go grab this guy right here. So I'll have to like copy and paste this little thing like this, get it down here and put it in and find out why it failed, right? So this said, I put like just www here, and it's saying that's an invalid URL. It says you meant to put HTTP. So I can use the execution part of this to try to debug why my packs aren't running. So execution list, I can see all the executions, the history of the executions and things that happened on my StackStorm server, find the ones that failed, and list them and figure out, cut and paste it. You know, that's a lot of cutting and pasting that we don't need to do, because this is the command line view of StackStorm. I'm going to take a side note here while we're talking about troubleshooting things. Sometimes if you go and add a new action or make some changes to StackStorm, it might not all be registered, right? So sometimes it'll fail. And the way I usually do it, if I do anything, semi-monumental to the pack itself, I will run this st2ctl reload command. And there's a bunch of flags you can put on there. You can just reload actions or sensors or whatever you want. It depends on how many of these you have just starting out in the beginning, you don't have many, so I'll just run SD2 cuddle reload. And what that does, it goes out and it kind of just shakes up StackStorm and gets everything to, kind of wiggle back to where it belongs, basically. Right? So that's a very technical explanation of what's going on here. But it just goes in and re-registers all your triggers, your sensors, your actions. It just makes sure everybody's doing the thing they're supposed to do. And if you have any new actions you've added, it registers all those things: actions, rules, sensors, whatever. But this is what you want to see when you run that command. Because sometimes you can run this command and you'll get a bunch of just random stuff in there. And that means something's broken in the StackStorm world. This is a real clean execution of the cuddle command, right? So this is something else we can use to just kind of reset things and make sure everything's the way it is and go back and try running our action again. So, but this is a lot of command line stuff. And there's two worlds to StackStorm. There's a command line version and there's a web-based version, a user interface that we can get to and use if we want to. And when I'm kind of running packs and trying to debug packs, it's kind of difficult to go execution list all the time and try to copy the execution ID and paste it in, then run another command to show me the results of that execution. Well, all that can be put aside because all we need to do is just go to localhost and on port 80 we'll find the StackStorm server. Now we're going to use SD2 admin and that super secret password that we set up in the very beginning, right? We just put that in and then we actually log in to the web GUI of StackStorm. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I'll try to roll you through this. But you can see here, I could just go back here to this one that failed. I see it failed. Well, here's the action output. And you can look right here and say, oh, okay, this is what's going on. I can read this stuff right here, right? There was the URL that it was passed. And I can see all kinds of stuff in here now without having to copy and paste this execution ID. I think you can check live output. No. I should be able to blow this up a little bit bigger, but I'll just take that as what it is. And you can see no schema supplied. I get that same error message we saw when we were doing it on the command line. So, but I can go in here and I can see stuff ran good. And I can see all the output and the URL that was handed to it. So this is that same thing, that show execution list. This is the history of all the stuff that's ran in your StackStorm server. I can see I got something that failed here. I can always go back here and expand this and see the whole thing here. If there's a whole bunch of stuff that I got back and count is not defined, I see the error message right away. So it lets me kind of see what's going on. But when I look at this is just a history and I can watch stuff run. Like here was a workflow that ran and it did multiple things, right? Boom, boom, it ran all these actions. Very cool. So you can drill into every one and see what happened, right? So that makes it really handy to get around. Now, not only that, I can see that stuff, but in here, I can see all the actions that are in here. So there's all my different packs. And if I open up like the Morpheus one, I can see, get Mongo logs, get logs, load Morpheus logs. I can see what they are. Oh, look, that little symbol. This is an Orchestra workflow. So these are actual actions, but these are workflows. And I can click on them and I can see when the last time they were executed. So this is a really great way of getting around StackStorm super fast. So these are the actions. I got rules here. And now rules are kind of cool because you can come in here and if you have, say, this 3-part pack, you can see I've got red X's here. I can go and turn these on with a little toggle up here and I can kick those rules off and they will start running on the core interval timer right here, interval timer of 5 minutes. And every 5 minutes they'll go do what they're supposed to do, right? So you can turn these on and off, which is really nice. Those are the rules. And if I'm looking here, I can go look and see, well, what kind of packs do we have? And here's all the packs we have in there. I can remove these packs. And I don't know if I can install a pack here. I haven't tried that yet. So I don't think you can. I may be wrong. But triggers also show up there as well. So this is a great way of just getting around, knowing your way around StackStorm from a web user interface. Okay, stay tuned. We're going to start building a pack in the next chapter. So we're going to get down to the nitty gritty here and start putting some code together. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next chapter.